we live in this world where we base ourselves around what we perceive that other people perceive us as.
What's shaking? Welcome back to All In. I'm your host, Rick Jordan. I've got an awesome friend of mine for a long time in the studio today. This dude has been on The Biggest Loser. This dude has been in the country music arena. He's had an album released. Most of all, he's an amazing friend. He just opened a Restaurateur in the middle of COVID. And today we're going to talk about my most favorite word to hate, the word can't, and bring up his most favorite word that he's got going on his head right now, Dan Evans.
What is up, brother, man?
Hey, dude.
Good to be back.
I know. How long has it been?
I feel like it was
a year, maybe
sometime into last year. I don't even, time flies. It feels like 5 minutes ago. It feels like 5 years ago. It's that weird thing.
It is weird. It is weird. So I love what you're wearing today too.
Oh yeah. We've been working on some branding for our new restaurant group. We're buying another restaurant. We just opened one, like you said, right in the middle of COVID. And it's always fun when you do something like that. You know, I come from a family of risk takers, as you know my family well. Yep. We've started many, many businesses over the years, and people said, well, wait a second. As restaurants were closing at just an unbelievable rate of speed, you guys opened one. And I said, hey, you got to have the kahunas to play ball.
Yeah, you do. And
that was really what it was. I mean, if you are ready and you are ready to jump in and go head first, as we do in so many things, or go all in, it was buyer's market. Yeah. And if you're prepared to take that risk, I mean, there's some incredible opportunities out there if you can hang.
Yeah, man. I've been there. I've eaten there several times, obviously.
You're one of our regulars. I think you're a Platinum Rewards member or something. I don't know.
That's a thing?
No, but we should.
Just for me, please. Yeah.
I appreciate Jordan that. Club
Although I did help stock your bar a little bit with some whiskey.
You've got the knowledge and the palate, the knowledge and the palate for the delicious whiskey. So I had to lean on you for that.
I love taking my boys there too, because they get to watch Chive TV.
Yes. it is literally, it's like bubble gum for the brain, because it's just constantly like video clips of internet-y things that are just, you could stare at for hours. Very fun.
It is really fun. So dude, you launched this restaurant, and this is going to come into a lot of what I want to talk about today, because right before the show, I was walking you through the studio here. Yeah. And I've got this canvas sign on the wall that I've had up for a few years, and you've been here before, and it's very easy to miss, but it's kind of like right there on your way out, and that's intentional for everybody else that works here too. And it's the word can't with a big red X through it.
Slashed out.
Yeah.
It's just ugly scratched. I
almost want to take a knife to it now just to upgrade the canvas a little bit, just to kind of give it some real scratch marks. But there's something that I've trained my people that have worked for me over the years, and it's something that's ingrained in me too, because dude, that's the word that I was talking about that I hate.
Yeah.
I hate the word can't. And I shifted a while back from this because it annoyed me. And more so it annoyed me because in sales, it was an objection that I would hear from everybody else. And then it annoyed me even more when I went through my own weight loss journey. We talked a little bit about that in the last episode. So please, everyone, look at the show notes, go back and listen to that. We talked about our own weight loss journeys. We won't dive into that today.
I don't want to cry again, because I think we almost got there. It got very deep, and I loved it, but I'm good today.
We'll probably do that a little bit today.
It's going to happen.
It is. Yes. So coming out of that, I realized that going into that, it's like, if I ever thought that I couldn't before I said that I can't lose weight or whatever it is, I realized after going through that, I was just freaking lying to myself, and then I would hear this back in sales engagements with prospects, to where they would say, oh, I can't spend that, or I can't do this. There's no way I can go, which is the same thing. It's just phrased in a different way. There's no way I can, it's the same thing, can't. And then I started hearing it from people that were working for me too. But it was more so from that they were saying it to our customers from a position of technology. And I would hear this a lot from like the Comcast people, right? or any tech crowd that I would hear, because it's that stereotype of like the tech industry, you know, the condescending whatever, where a tech would come and say, oh, you can't do it that way. Right? And it's like, no, that's not it.
Oh, now I'm going to.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm almost going to mad do this project because I will.
Yeah, and we'll get into the story because we were talking about that a little, like pissing each other, pissing ourselves off, right? Just because, despite ourselves. But I would hear this, and it's like, well, that's not the real meaning. That's not what you really mean when you say I can't. And I started thinking, and this is where I want to jump off here and hear your thoughts on this, because this is where I know we can have some amazing dialogue and help everybody that's listening, because we're going to hit hard today, man. That's what I want to do. You know, it's just drive home, you know, like Thor to Thanos with his axe, right? You know, just right in the head, right in the chest, whatever. But I also want it to be good teaching times too.
Yeah.
You know, because we're not going to just pummel into people without giving them reason or hope to actually be able to come out of it either, because I think that's needed. But today, here's what we're going to call bullshit. That's what we're going to do.
Let's lay it down.
Yes, because the word can't, to me, and we'll start from here, really means you won't or you don't.
And sometimes even I don't want to.
Yeah.
Laziness can fall into that category. Self-limitations fall into that category. I think even a lot of times people find identity in their shortcomings because for some reason you'll meet people who say, oh, I can't really drive in traffic. I can't get up early. I can't. And I almost am sensing like a hint of pride in the limitation that you're owning. And it's just incredible how it's some weird deflective defense mechanism that people can use to cover a lot of things that are ultimately coming down to a very small set of things. And it's something inside you that you're not allowing yourself to achieve that next level, set yourself apart, become something that is truly greater. And is it because you're afraid of success? You're afraid what might come with that. You're afraid of the responsibility that could come with that. But I think so many times it's an instant moment for diagnosis to figure out what are you doing? What are you holding back? What are you afraid of? Why are you protecting yourself with this word that we should slash out of this situation? And ultimately, what are you scared of? Yeah.
Is it really protecting yourself, though?
Yeah.
Because when you say that, are you really protecting yourself, or are you just avoiding the scenario?
Well, you know, it's, to me, you know, speaking of the weight loss journey, you know, something I've done, even when I'm not feeling comfortable with myself or anything, you ever, you know, the old wear a hoodie when you're not happy with the way you look sort of thing. Yeah. And there's this lie you tell yourself that I somehow look thinner with a hoodie on, which isn't true.
With the bigger clothes. Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing is are you really protecting yourself? No.
Yeah.
You're wearing a hoodie, the hoodie of the word can't, but yet it's glaring and it's something that everybody can recognize. But in your mind, you feel like it's helping. I'm hiding behind this. And ultimately it's a false layer of protection that's doing nothing for you.
Yeah. There's a lot of running, I feel, when it comes to the word can't.
Yeah.
And but then I start to analyze because I see that, and dude, I've got such great compassion for people, you know, and I even had coming out of my journey, you know, my weight loss journey, and then a lot of other things that I've been through in life too, you know, for a brief moment, because I'm human just like anybody else, you know.
Barely, but you still are.
Yeah. It's thanks. But it's for a brief moment. You know, there's thoughts, and I don't feel this way in my heart, but there's thoughts of judgment.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, I come on, it's like, well, I went through this, and I know the reasons why I was saying that I can't. And it really was that I wouldn't, or I didn't want to, as you said, or that I didn't for blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So then it's like, I almost want to, there's a lot of times I want to like freaking like Vulcan mind meld, you know, and just understand. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then I started realizing too, and then like, it's no judgment at all. And there doesn't need to be any, because I see that word can't sometimes is actually, or could be a reason to just say, I'm not really sure why.
Yeah.
You know, it's good because they, like you said, you know, it's an identity thing too, because they're not really sure where they're going, what they want, you know, or even more so, how to get there.
Yeah.
You know, so that becomes, I can't. But it's really, I won't because I don't have the knowledge yet. I don't because I have these fears that I have to overcome first.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to because I just don't feel like it's something I have the energy for right now because I have all of these other chaotic things in my life right now.
Yeah. Well, I think, because sometimes it takes a vulnerable side of us to admit why I'm using the word. I mean, if somebody presents a giant project that just seems near impossible or difficult, but that doesn't mean can't. Maybe that's a moment where you say, wow, that's going to be a huge undertaking, but I think the outcome's going to be so worth it. Let's dive in and try and figure this out.
Yeah.
Is a very different answer than, well, we can't. Well, you've ended it. There's room for unlimited possibility when you remove that word. Let's go through why.
Yeah.
What is it? You've never done it before? Well, okay. Let's bring somebody else in who maybe has a little more experience in that background. Let's take a little study time. Let's learn. I mean, there's so many times where I have friends coming to me looking for advice as if I'm an expert on something. And it's like, no, I just spent countless hours reading and studying and finding experts and listening. And whether it's a podcast, it's an audiobook or whatever it may be, I'm spending my time in traffic and in my car just soaking in this topic because for me, can't isn't an option. So I'm going to can, whatever it takes. And for somebody to turn to me as if I'm an expert, I look at them and go, just dive in.
Yeah.
Nobody told me some secret. The secret that I was told when I was younger is how to learn and how to love learning and how to have a passion for devouring information and looking through things that don't make sense. Well, before you know it, 2 or 3 hours of diving into something, it starts to make sense. And if you spend a few days or a week on that topic before you know it, people are turning to you like you're an expert. When 1 week ago, I was about to ride the Cant bus.
Yeah.
And but again, it's that willingness to dive in and push past and go to the uncomfortable and go into the scary unknown and say, get rid of the and let's leave it a can.
There's another word you mentioned too that ties back into this because hearing you said the word lazy. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, because this is nobody's gonna like this, and I don't care, but that's okay. That's okay because it's everyone thinks that I just feel that there are just some straight up lazy people.
Yeah,
and there's probably reasons behind that. But there's individuals, and if you're listening, cool, that's great. Maybe you can not be lazy anymore after hearing this. That'd be great. But you're talking about loving learning. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times the reason why you can't, really why you don't or won't, because you don't understand everything you need to know about what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And I'd love to go through some specific examples too, because we can talk about business, we can talk about relationships, we can talk about weight loss, we can talk about finances. Those are 4 just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That we can dive into all the cants and all the stupidness and all the BS and all the laziness that is surrounded around all that. We've got stories that we can pull from too, man. Tons of stories. But the lazy aspect, there's been times in my life where I've been lazy AF. Mm-hmm. And those are usually the times to where I have a desire to escape me. Mm. Versus there's a lot of other things to where there can be a longing for your true self, but there can also be a desire to escape your true self.
Yeah.
Because your true self and staying in that requires effort.
Yep.
Dude, because there's so much around you that's going to pull you away from that. And it's really the expectations of other people that will pull you away from that. So now it becomes, instead of just dealing with your own self and being like, oh, because I feel, dude, that if it was just me, if it was just me, nobody else around me, whatever, that it'd be a lot easier to just be me.
Yeah.
But when there's expectations of other people around you, now it becomes more effort. But here's the question. Is it more effort to not be you? Or is it more effort to be you?
We just went to another layer. We did. We just broke through and went to another layer.
Which is more difficult? Is it harder to put all this effort and energy into not being you and saying, oh, I can't do that?
I'm soaking that up right now because I'm even reflecting on myself in moments of where I find my own self-limitation. And now I have to stop and take a moment of wonder, wow, like what is it that when that's creeping up in my life? Like what am I feeling? What am I hiding? What is it that I'm afraid to expose or afraid to push through to that other side? And I think that's the thing is, even when you feel like, you know what, I'm the Mr. Can all the time, that just means you've only broken through your latest layer. Because no matter where it comes, I mean, whether you're starting your first business or you're now onto business 10, 20, 30, doesn't matter, wherever you are, is you will find your new layer of limitation, and you will find the point. My brother and I, we are very close in business partners in a lot of ventures. And I get very deep into research and study, and I want to understand something, and I will lose sleep. I will even be trying to close my eyes and go to sleep, and I'll grab my phone just because there's one more little thing. I just want to search and get that, where he's more of just pull the trigger and go. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go. And there's where we have a great balance in that is that I'm like, well, wait a second. Let's just make sure we think through all these things. We don't want to run into a brick wall when we get to this point. He's like, well, we can't run into anything if we don't get running. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, you're so right. And that's where we bring a great balance with each other because, for me, I want to load the toolbox. I want to be ready. And that's, again, where we work well with each other because I'll bring up things that he's like, wow, that's a good point. You're right. We should go through that. We should take these steps. We should get a hold of these vendors and whatever it may be before we get off and rolling because we could see issues right away. But he's ready, I'll spit an idea out and he's already, calling, trying to get, a corporation formed and open bank accounts and get something up and rolling. And meanwhile, I'm over here like, researching, ideas behind like logo psychology, But again, it's each time I think, we again learn from each other and figure, wow, you know what? We have done this enough. We are smart enough. We're capable enough. We're willing to lose sleep enough that these little roadblocks that come up are not going to be a big issue.
Yeah.
And over time, it just becomes simple. We're like, okay, let's get this next one rolling. Let's do it. Here's how we go. Here's how we go. But eventually, you start to find your new, whatever it might be, ceiling of sorts where your cant wants to start creeping up. And whether it's going from one business to two, well, that's doubling and that's a lot. Mm-hmm. So if you're going from 10 businesses to 20, again, you're doubling and that's a lot. And you'll find, I can start these things all day. But when I'm pushing now to this new territory, I have to continually check myself and say, am I doing too much due diligence because I'm a little afraid? Or am I trying to just really ready myself for battle? And, I think that's a constant within us all.
It's almost like a self-sabotage mentality then.
Yeah.
If you're saying, that's man, now I'm soaking it in because am I doing too much? How did you say that? Am I doing too much to where I'm preventing myself from even going into it? Or am I just preparing for battle? Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
I mean,
because you're scared, you're doing so much to try to prepare yourself because you're scared. And the more that you do, the more you research, the more you try to get all of your ducks in a row.
Right.
Then it's just keeping you from doing it in the first place.
Right. You've gotten so granular that why are you that far down the road? We've got to get rolling. There's an opportunity. There's a chance. There's something. Money is right. The conditions are right. The climate is right for this opportunity. And you could plan yourself right out of the window.
Yeah.
But at the same time, going into things blind is not a better solution. But again, it's that the balance, because sometimes our I can't can be shrouded in your other ways of hiding and your other ways of course I can. I'm just doing way too much research and that helps somehow.
Of course I can when I blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
But when is that blah, 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 blah going to actually happen?
Right. And it could be a goalpost that even on yourself, you keep continually moving.
Yes, that's huge too, man.
Yeah.
Because you can always find out other ways to not do something.
Which, like the deep inner voice that would like to draw me back to a lazy starting point, would love to find those and love to whisper up those little ideas. And you wonder like, did I just have an idea? Or is that inner me who's slowing me down, giving me little negative feedbacks?
Yeah.
Because ultimately I'm researching so much because I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that I can't. I'm using that word again. I'm in a bad spot. Let me find my brother. We balance each other out. He's going to push us forward. He's going to drive. He's the driver. He's the bulldog. I call him the bulldozer. And because he just drives through in such a good way that it helps me go, oh, you're right. What am I doing? I'm like trying to be 2 years out, plan this very granular situation that is so not important for launch phase. Yeah. And we will have so much time to plan that out and get there. Of course, have a roadmap, make a plan. And like they always say, plans are changeable. And that's the best thing about them is that they're changeable, but there has to be one in the first place. But don't let that become your hiding place, your little excuse farm that we can live and die in.
I just had a visual, man. I'm sorry, of a farm with
harvesting excuses.
Yes, with weird, decrepit little animals. Yeah. But that's what it is, isn't it? Yeah. Because the excuses are just that. They're horrible pieces of shit.
Yes.
And it's just more. I could go up and count. Everybody has an excuse farm.
Yes.
I think, but I just don't want to live on the farm. It's almost like a place that I know that I can always go back to because it's never going to go away.
Yeah.
All those excuses are going to be there. And you know what? They freaking reproduce and they keep multiplying. And then you have even more excuses because the more you're doing all the I cants,
yeah,
all of a sudden there's going to be a lot more things. And you know what's interesting too is that excuse farm, I think is tended. The shepherds of that excuse farm are a lot of the people that we know that are close to us.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, I brought like 20 more animals out of this excuse farm. Take a look over here. I think you need to come back to the farm for a little bit just to remember why you can't do this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the topic we talked about a few moments ago about starting a restaurant during one of the most incredibly volatile times to get, to expand the restaurant business that we're in, for all the people that said, man, when I heard you guys were launching another restaurant, like right in the middle of all this, that's not positive feedback. No. Like you didn't say anything nice. You didn't say anything mean, but you gave me a tone that kind of was like, well, you're the exact reason why I didn't go over this with you because I don't need that. You're not in this business. I don't look up to you in the world of food service and restaurants and even in real estate and looking at opportunities and financial opportunities. I don't look up to you for any of that. So I don't really care that you think this is a good or a bad time because, quite frankly, I don't think that you even know that. But somehow, man, you just fed that excuse farm.
Yeah.
And I have to recognize that, package it up and put it away because there's so much room for that to fester and grow wild beasts on the farms of excuse.
For sure it is. Dude, I still get crap for going through an IPO right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've even heard people who do this professionally via SPACs, and SPACs are 400, 500 million, $1 billion deals.
The big blank check.
Yeah, right on. And they're like, you know what? This might not be the time for you, because being the CEO of a public company sucks. Like, can you give me a little more info? No, it just sucks. It's like, well, then it's like, what about all the time it's going to take away from your family? Well, I don't think that's going to be it. Yes, I have to put in more work, but you know what? My son's sitting here right now in the studio with us.
Yes.
He's involved in what's going on. And everyone that can come around you to be just the naysayers. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because you and your brother, and we're talking about business, right? And if we can shift a little bit into relationships and this word can't too, because it's almost like saying, don't take marriage advice from somebody who's never been married.
Right.
Or someone who has had, 8 divorces or something like that, And I'm not saying that it's bad to be divorced because that's not the case. It just happens sometimes. And that's actually maybe even a good place to start too.
Sure.
I've had this conversation on the show here and there, but, divorce rates are up over the past year with the pandemic.
Yep.
And people are stuck at home with each other for so long. Like, sorry.
You sure you don't have any calls to go on?
I know. Yeah. But the word, it's a shift of focus too, because the whole, I can't do this anymore, or I can't put the effort into this. Well, can't can go both ways.
Yeah.
Can't can be a reason to get divorced, and can't can be a reason to stay together too.
Yeah.
It's both of them. I can't get divorced because I can't stay together because, but really what's the don'ts and the won'ts behind that? And I feel like it always comes back to your true self too.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, because it becomes the expectations of other people. I know if I looked at me, right? grew up in church, ordained pastor. It's not really highly praised if you end up divorced.
Sure.
Because that's, again, the expectations of other people. It's also very highly praised if you have a marriage that lasts forever. But who's to say what's right or wrong besides your own self in that? Because now you're living on the expectations of other people again. And now your can't really becomes, I won't because of what that person's going to think about me.
I heard somebody say once, they said, we live in this world where we base ourselves around what we perceive that other people perceive us as. It's this double layer of perception. So I might get in this cool car because I think that my friends will think that I'm cool. And you start to realize, like, wait a second, I'm living in this world of dual layered convolution. So I am going to stay with this person because I think that these people surrounding me will think this about me if I don't.
Yeah.
Or in so many ways, get out of this relationship because, well, they all think this about me for staying in it, I think. And you start to realize, you're like, what am I basing my decisions on? What am I formulating these concepts around? What I think that they think about me? When chances are what I think that they think that I think that they think, and we get so lost that my decisions are no longer based upon my inner self and my journey, whether it's spiritual or it's educational or it's through your mentors or wherever it comes from. You realize that I'm living through this double layer that is ultimately kind of doesn't even exist in the first place.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to keep up something or get rid of something or live out something based upon something that you can't even write down, that doesn't exist. I can't point to that on a map, but yet I will use that to guide this ship through my entire life. So at that point, you step back, and it's again that deep internal self-realization and self-examination of saying, where should I be? Who am I? Who is this person with me to me? Not what do I think that they think about me, but instead, is this person good for me? Of course, we've all heard it a million times. I mean, look at your friends around you, and that's what you'll see either where you're going or where you're headed or whatever it may be. Again, that's not saying, well, look at the people around you and think about what they think about you. That's not the goal, and that's not the point.
Yeah.
So it's once again diving back into the deep internal self-diagnosis of sorts of saying, is this person, am I helping them? Are they helping me? Are we on this journey together, or are we not?
Yeah.
Friends, relationships, business partners, family. I mean, I tell people all the time, I say, obviously you can't pick your family, that whole thing. It's like, yeah, but you also don't have to emotionally always invest in their opinion.
For sure.
Because yes, you might be my cousin, my uncle, my brother, my mother, whoever it may be, but that doesn't mean when it's a right time for me to make a business move. That doesn't mean the deep inner workings of my relationships. So I might have to shift and maneuver because I'm no longer going to live on this double layer of what I think that you think about me. Instead say, no, what is this for me? And where is this going for me? And are you limiting me and boxing me back into some more I can'ts because of words, because of negative inputs, because of whatever those things may be? Or are you saying, you know what? I think you're lying to yourself right now. You can. You totally can. You've done this before. This is no different than before. I get it. You got a lot going on right now. Your plate's really full, but you know what? I'm here for you. Call me if you need anything. Let me know how I can help. I've got some great people. I'm going to send somebody by your office on Monday just for a chat if you have time. If not, let me know. Super cool. Let me know how I can help. Or really? Well, don't you already have a lot of those businesses going? I don't think you're helping.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because what I think that you think that I think.
That's great. That needs to be the lead-in, I think, to this episode. There's when you're saying, is this person right for me?
Yeah.
I think there's the inverse of that too that gets people trapped in the I can'ts. They start asking themselves, am I right for this person?
Yeah.
You know, because then you start to think about what they think about you, just like what you're saying. You know, and you're trying to make the decision for them because it's not up to you to determine what they think about you. Or if they feel that you are right for them. Because that can be in itself, that can box you into an I can't from both perspectives again. Meaning, should I stay with them? Well, you know what? I'm good for them. They're my project, you know, or
I got my garden and my relationships.
Or
favorite things to work on.
They'd be in deep depression if I wasn't with them. So I can't go. Or the inverse, and it keeps you from something really, really good, you know, business, relationships, whatever. And you're saying, you know what, am I good for this person? I don't think I am. You know, and now you're starting to put yourself into that same spot to where it's like, well, what do they think about me? Because I think that they think that I'm good for them or I'm not good for them. And now you're putting yourself in the same boat saying, am I good for that person? I can't be with that person, business, relationship, whatever, because I don't think I'm good for that person. I feel that they think, feel that they think that we would clash. That's such a conundrum, man.
It really is.
It hurts my head just trying to say it and keep it straight, but that's where our heads go.
It is. And so meanwhile, you'll be at the clothing store holding up a shirt wondering, do I think that they'll think that I look cool if I wear this? Or, and so on. If I go into, this business opportunity is going to be so cool because all of them, I think that they'll think that I'm really up to some cool stuff if I do this. It's like, wrong reason. Wrong reason. Wrong.
No, I don't know how many dudes walk into a suit shop, be like, hey, I hope my girl really likes me in this. And that's the reason why they buy it, right? But I know this, you know, it's a little bit different of an emotion. I just had an episode of male vulnerability too, you know, and that probably should be the way that most men are emotionally connected. You know, it's a wrong application of that, I feel, because when a woman goes in and buys a dress and they're thinking, oh, I'm going to get this dress because I really want them to like the way that I look. And it's like, buy it for yourself.
Does it make you feel beautiful or confident, or does it accentuate something about you that you feel, you know, gives you that pep in your step? As opposed to, will they like me?
Man, dude, if you had to choose between only telling lies all your life, you know, or you had to speak the truth for the rest of your life, you know, it's like, what would I choose? This is coming back to the same thing about, is it harder to not be you? Or is it harder to just be you? I think it's easier to be you because it takes, because I've done this, man, and I'm sure you have too, you know, especially in the world that I came from in church and everything else. It's just, even sometimes I feel it when I'm on stage. It's like, what do I need to bring, you know, so that they'll like me? You know, I don't think this way really anymore, but it's, I'm going to bring me, and that's just going to be it, because I know that I have what they will need. I know what I can bring to this moment right now, but it's a lot easier to be me than it is. And it takes infinitely, and you know, I can't say 10x, 100x, whatever, but it takes exhausting effort to not be me. To put all these stop gaps in place to where I can cut myself off, my true self off, and say, no, I can't because of that person. I can't because of this situation. I can't because of this. And now you start to put all these self-sabotaging things in place to where you actually have to take action in order to can't. Sometimes you don't have to take any action to can, to just be. But you have to take way more action to can't.
I think that's so much of a journey for a lot of people is ultimately discovering through all of that, the who am I? And I think, you know, especially, you know, in my younger life, I spent so much of my time trying to fit in and trying to do like my friends are doing. And I would listen to music because they did. And you kind of hit this point in your life where at some point you have to start to understand, who am I? Like, where does my deep, true happiness come from? What is it that is inspiring me? And what is it that really makes me want to get up and push and do something that's going to suck? Because I understand the outcome. I know the other side of it. I mean, there's so many things in life that suck, but the outcome is worth it. I mean, you know, whether it's parts of exercise and lifting weights and all of that, or if it's
There's days that sucks, bro.
It totally does. But you're in it for the long haul, and you're in it for an outcome that you truly desire. And I think that's just such an important place where I think a lot of people need to take that time to really self-reflect and understand, is this for me, or is this for what I think that you think that I look like if I do this, or that I like? And like you were saying, it's much easier for you to be you, but I think that there are many people who haven't really got to the core of figuring out who are they outside of those layers of convolution of my perception, of your perception, of me. And, that's truly a self-work. But when you can get to that other side, the suck doesn't suck so much because you're doing it for a true reason that you understand deep down in yourself. I used to, a really good friend of mine, we're co-writers, we've written a lot of music together and done a lot of things. And we had a slogan, it was just called Embrace the Suck. You've got to embrace the suck. Every new startup business is going to have some suck. There's going to be moments in relationships that you do see a long-term thing here, but right now it sucks. So what am I going to do? Just like, or am I going to embrace the suck because I understand what the outcome is? Yeah. Or projects and so many things. Starting restaurants during, an entire shutdown of the industry had a lot of suck. But I understand the goal, I understand the purpose, I understand the me through it all, where I can embrace that suck because it's no different than pushing through and doing a few more reps on the weight bench. Those last ones suck. Those very last ones suck, but for a good reason. It's not suck for the sake of suck. I feel like sometimes living in Illinois and shoveling snow just kind of sucks for no reason because you just don't have to live here. But not all of it has to be so.
Yeah. When you're talking about embracing the suck and the outcomes, you know what the outcome's going to be. Mm-hmm. Do you find it true that in order to really understand the outcome that you want, that you have to know yourself first? Because then it actually becomes worth embracing the suck?
Yeah.
Because that outcome that you want might not be something that's actually possible.
Yeah.
And when I say possible, that's totally different than the word can't.
Yeah.
Because the outcome could be something else, or be that outcome with somebody else.
Yes.
Or doing some other thing. So if it's relationship, if it's job, if it's business, you could still get that outcome, but it might not be that road that you're currently on to get there. And that road that you're on typically has to do, we're relational people.
Yep.
So it's business partners, it could be, industry or whatever else, but where we currently have ourselves planted in that environment might have to change in order to reach that outcome.
Yeah.
And that environment might have to change in order to allow you to actually be you. And then you can decide when you actually can be you, if it's possible to be you without having that pull of somebody else saying that, no, you can't because of.
Yeah.
Because do you find that the word can't is really like somebody else telling you that? Like you're almost like projecting. It's the same thing. It's like you're projecting it onto yourself from the other person. So you're thinking what they might be thinking and then projecting it back onto yourself. Well, they would tell me that I can't because.
Yeah.
Well, I must not then.
Yeah.
Because that person knows what's best for me. I've been business partners with them for 10 years. I've been a brother or a sister with them for 30 years, or I've been married to them for 5 years or whatever else. And they would say that I can't because.
And so you accept that and internalize it because of this dual layered perception of what I think that they think about me.
Yeah. And you can almost hear their voice when they say that too. You can't because of this. Oh, well, okay. I guess I'll go back over here. But now you have to put in more effort again to not be you.
Yeah.
Because of all the can'ts.
Hit another layer there.
Another layer.
I'm sponging again. I'm sponging. I think, and ultimately that comes back down to the true self-discovery of yourself and the motivation of Simon Sinek said it best, starting with the why. And what is my why? And if my why is just to please other people and hope they think that I'm cool, that doesn't really go very far. But if that why comes all the way back to because I believe in it, I can. This is something I'm passionate about. I love the outcome. This will affect a lot of people in a great way. And that's what I'm passionate about, is helping people, but not just helping people think a certain way about me. And I think still sponging it.
I know. Relationships, dude, that's a tough one, especially coming out of this year. And it's any kind of relationship too, because it's business, it's person, it's family. You know, there's family that, dude, I haven't seen in well over a year because of what I'm going after in life, because I'm being me. But it was so much more effort to not be me around them when they would come over, when we would go out for dinner or whatever else, you know. And it's really like extended family that I'm talking about for the most part, because immediate family, even though just being straight up, when I'm really talking siblings, you know, that's immediate family was like, thought I was a little crazy, you know, when I started doing the things that I'm doing now a few years back. But now it's like, oh, okay, now I get it. You know, they eventually came back around, but extended family might be a different story in this too, because, and especially, dude, those that I grew up with, you know, if it's like close friends or other people that I considered like family friends growing up, where they said, well, I don't think you should do that. You know, you can't do that because, you know, X, Y, Z is going to suffer in your life. I'm like, well, it's really not, you know, because this is what I want to do. And the close family, I see you and your brother, man, it's really awesome, the relationship that you guys have. And could you imagine, because he's the pull the trigger guy, right? And you're I have to go and research everything. And I've often looked at this as like visionary and integrator, and you guys are like totally exactly that. But it's funny because he's ready to go without having everything in place, and you want the whole picture there before you go. Could you imagine being partnered with somebody, whether it's family or not, you know, whether it's a husband, wife, whatever, business partner? Could you imagine being partnered with somebody that is the same as you in that regard?
Oh, there's been moments in time that I've worked with different people on different projects. And when I'm too similar with somebody in that regard, it has this weird feeling of awesome, but it's not. Because, oh my God, we're going to go nuts. We're planning so granular. We got like Google Docs going and Trello boards and like all this stuff going on. And like, we're like getting so deep and we're into like sub ideas. And we're like, oh man, and we could, and just think we could make t-shirts and coffee cups. So we start designing those. We're like so far off track.
Dude, I think we've been there at a bar before, you and me.
Positive. You know, and you get so far in the weeds that it feels great.
Yeah.
Because neither of us are pushing each other into an uncomfortable place.
Yeah.
There is no balance there. And we could easily spend months and months to no end really down that road. And if you don't have that balance in your life, then you've got to surround yourself with someone or people or in some way bring that balance, because too much weighted on one side might seem great. But going all the way back to relationships, the two people can't be identical. There has to be, you know, just my wife, she's very organized. She's like never misses like a bill being paid on time, all of that. Where me, I'm more like, we go for this and do that and do that. And like, you know, even if it's like opening a credit card, I was like, oh geez, we'll never get all these paid if we open another one. She was like, I've never not paid a credit card. I was like, oh,
that's awesome.
That's crazy to me. Like if it's not like sitting on my dresser unfolded, like right next to my wallet and my keys, then I will forget about it. Like it's not staring at me. I've never forgotten to pay a credit card. I was like, oh my goodness. But that is the wonderful thing about us in our relationship, but even still in businesses and so on. It is a trap to be with somebody who is far too much like you and not have that balance in your team. And even if they're not the person running the company with you, there's somebody that you can lean on for that area of weakness, because it's like a drug. It feels great at first and it's all fun and awesome, but it will not be a long-term solution to your issue if you have too much of the same.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Dude, we're going to move into part 2.
Oh, I love it.
So yes, because you've been listening so far, check out the second episode on this, because we talked about a lot about the word can't, and now we're going to talk about the reasons why you can't, which pretty much has to do with the word yet. What's shaking? Thank you for joining me on the All In podcast.
Click the subscribe button and smash that bell for notifications. Text me, 312-535-8520. Follow me on social media at Mr. Rick Jordan. See you next episode. I am Rick Jordan, and I approve this message.